Hi, I'm Susan Beyer, and this is Fun with Research. Thanks for joining me today. One question most clients ask early in the process of developing their survey research is, how many questions can I put in my survey? And the issue isn't really the number of questions. The issue is the length and sort of intensity of focus required to complete your survey. So some questions are a one-click answer that's very easy for the respondent to do. What is your gender? What is your household income? Those sorts of things are very easy. Also asking them things like their zip code, they could type that in pretty quickly. Other questions require more work. For example, you may have a group of 3 to 5 statements that you want your respondents to rate in a single question, right? And so that's actually 5 questions, and they have to think about it a little bit. Open-ended questions are pretty taxing for respondents, and if you have too many of those, then that's really not a good thing to do in a survey. So it's really more about how long you want your survey to be than it is about how many questions are in it. And that is a more complicated question. So at Audience Audit, our surveys max out at 15 minutes on average to take. That's a fairly long survey for a consumer survey. Of course, there are longer surveys, sometimes in specializations. When you're working with certain audiences, you'll ask them to complete a survey that's 30 minutes. But that's kind of unusual, and certainly neither of those are the same as sort of the 5-minute ask a few questions and get over quickly sort of surveys. So some of that is really a strategic decision based on your audience. Do they know you? Are they already engaged with you? Or are you asking people who may never have heard of you or don't have any investment with your organization to complete a long survey? That can be challenging. What are you doing for an incentive? Yes, you should always have an incentive, even though most people don't actually participate in surveys just for the incentives. It is nice to recognize the time and the effort that someone is taking out of their day to give you some answers. So you want different incentives for different situations, and so each incentive needs to be matched with the investment that that respondent needs to make in completing your survey. So if you're thinking about surveys yourselves, don't ask about how many questions are involved. Ask about what makes sense for the audience that you are surveying, making sure you don't go over the line, it's not too taxing, and that you have sort of the right mix of questions in terms of the intensity required to complete them and the time required to complete them, and then you have an incentive in place that's appropriate for that. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, ask your researcher. If you don't have a researcher, I'm always happy to answer these questions, and you can reach out to me, Susan at audienceaudit.com. I'm glad you're here with us today, and I hope we see you next Friday.